Welcome to the Rebekah Panepinto Project. Today I am very excited to host a dear friend named Tommy Norman. Now Tommy and I have known each other for about 10 years, and all throughout my software career he's come alongside me to encourage me with lean principles and adapting agile in business. Today, Tommy serves as the Chief Agility Officer for Acklen Avenue, and they're an incredible software development company that's based in Nashville, Tennessee. Tommy also travels all around the United States, helping encourage businesses to adopt agile within their organizations so their companies can see explosive growth. We talk a ton about this today, but also about our mutual passion, which is for the music business. Enjoy the show. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so excited. Glad we were able to coordinate crazy schedules and make this happen.
In between all your various globe trotting.
Yes, it's a life of adventure over here, between crazy races to just fun experiences. So I'm glad we were able to connect. We've known each other a long time now. I think I met you during my first sales job, which is absolutely crazy, but it's been a fun journey, and it's been really fun to see what you've done, especially with Acklen. So let's start there and talk about what you guys are doing as it relates to software development and a near and dear topic to my heart, which is digital transformation.
Sure. So, Acklen is a custom software development company. It was started by a good friend of mine, Colin Callahan and Byron Summerdahl. Basically, they were consultants. We had worked together several times, and they were at these big companies over and over again, like I was, that were doing things, ways that weren't very conducive to value and to supporting people. And they said, let's go start a company and do things the way we think things should be done, and only work with people who think our way. And so they started the company and went through all sorts of different kind of permutations of that. Byron, the CTO, fell in love and moved to Honduras after a mission, and found this great untapped wealth of people down there who were coming out of these great universities. And the economics of that allowed them to build entire agile teams and keep them together. Worked great there. It really worked well as far as organizing, keeping shared team members together so that they weren't spread out all the time, and maximizing putting a team together that could, has gone through forming, storming, norming, and performing, and can easily be, put in front of a new client and start delivering value very quickly. And my job is to provide enough process for them to do their best work in an environment that allows doing the right thing easy to do. And that's kind of where we're at.
I love it. Yeah, you guys have been around for a while, making a huge impact in the industry. So it's cool to see how you've grown so strong over the years. And though it's been ups and downs, you guys are always been people first. That has totally been the culture and what the market is able to see. And I echo as well. So love that about you guys. Now I'm curious, because you have this title that, like we were talking about earlier, is one of 50 people on LinkedIn, the Chief Agility Officer. So when you're going to customers and you guys are working on new projects, how often is it starting with just teaching them agile, or are they usually at least somewhat understanding of it and able to collaborate and get up to speed pretty fast?
There's some of that. Part of my job, if you want to be agile as a company, you need to have representation somewhere high in leadership who can, do things. And so making sure that soul, of not only the people, but, providing them, a great place to work. And we believe agile principles and lean principles do that. So I also work in pre-sales. So I have the luxury of we'll be in pre-sales and I'll sniff something out and go, you don't believe the things we do. And to your point, sometimes I might, work with them to try to get them there because they want to get there. And sometimes they don't really want to get there. And I can say, you know what, I think you have a great thing and you want to offer it, but maybe we're not the partner for you.
So when it comes to digital transformation, as it relates to agile though, is there an openness and a place for that where maybe the percentage that isn't there doesn't understand the values, where they could be educated? Maybe it takes 6 months, 9 months. Is that just a different approach?
Maybe they need to get a little bit further along before they engage us, just because it might be such a big difference, because we work the way we worked, and we're very open. Our process, we try to keep it as simple as it can be. But there are people who are they'll come in and say, well, I need a fixed bid, estimate on this. And I'm like, we don't do that. You're not as far along as your journey. But some people come and say, I want to do what you're doing. I believe in it, but I don't know how to get there. And we find that environment and that partnership that works well.
Interesting. Yeah, because I've been familiar with it for a long time, and like you say, the Spotify example, I feel like that was heavily talked about, especially 10 or so years ago when I was just getting into tech. But it's crazy to me that some organizations, especially those with like monolithic applications, just still aren't there. It's still something new.
It's now the cool thing to say. And I don't like to gatekeep. I don't like to get online and go, that's not agile or this isn't that. Everybody's at a place where they are. It is a transformation, like you said, for a reason. And it's not like you one day cross the goal line and spike the ball and say, we're agile, we're done. You know, again, it's continuous improvement. But the ones that are more prescriptive, people think, I adopt this and magic happens. But the truth is, you adopt this and it exposes all your problems sooner, because that's what something like Scrum does. It doesn't fix your problems; it just tells you how screwed you are faster, and then you have to do something about it. And if you don't do anything about it, then it may be seen as not working because you're not actually improving. You thought the process would improve you. No, it just shows you the opportunity for it.
So, with as much as you can share, what's the coolest software project you've ever been involved in?
There's been a lot, and I mean, there's been some that the project itself was horrible. Yeah, the way we got there. I'll tell you the one that really was ink enabled applications in 2002. This is
Ink enabled, okay.
early, so drawing.
Yeah.
Having tablets that you use pens on. We were using Panasonic Tough Books because people were out in the field. Working directly with Microsoft on their controls, their ink enabled controls. Now that project failed
Okay.
because the technology, we didn't do it in an agile way. This is way before I had gotten into the agile world. We tried
Hmm.
to build it monolithically. We got enamored with the technology and overused it. That project is cool in two ways. One, it was technology nobody was using, and it was fun to be bleeding edge. But number two, despite it being a failure, it was one of the biggest learning points for me, and it made me open to the next phase of my life, which was turning into more agile software development.
It's great. I love it. I was going to ask you on the second half of it, what was the worst project you've ever been in? But I love that you like wrapped them up in a nice little bow together.
Now there are worse projects than that. I
Oh,
didn't learn
okay.
anything from them. There are
Okay.
places we will keep all the names anonymous.
I love it.
But there are places I've went who make tons of money. They do something. They make a thing, or they rent a thing, or they build a thing that everybody wants and pays them all this money for, and they're fat and happy. So why try to be efficient? They don't need to.
Yeah.
And they're also companies that have been around for a long time. So technology is almost a hindrance. Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta be technical, and those were always the worst. You weren't respected. You were given ridiculous demands. Working conditions were just bad. Now the good things that came out of those was friendships. There was a gig I was on. Several of us got put in there. We were from CompuWare. It was a horrible working environment, but it was like band of brothers. We few, we happy few. We pull up our scars and say, look at this. Remember that. And I still, those are guys that if I had to build a team, I would grab them immediately because we lived through that stuff together, and that's part of experience.
So there's another thing that you talk about besides agile, even though I feel like it's like 90% of your brand and message, which I love. But it's this idea of switchbacks. Can you tell us a little bit more about what exactly a switchback is?
So that's something I learned at Linkit. We had a CRO there, and he introduced this idea of when a company grows, it goes through a set of fairly predictable growth patterns. The switchbacks on a mountain, going up a mountain, and you start at I have $0 and an idea, and your first phase of your company is to prove your idea. When you're done with that, all right, people like this idea. We've got a few customers. We're getting some revenue, maybe not revenue positive, but we're getting some people. People are paying for this. It's a good idea. The next thing you have to do is prove your product, and you switch back. The way you prove product is totally different. You might have written the scrappiest piece of software and taken all this technical debt just to get it out to the market quickly because you're burning through VC money and things like that. Then when you hit that switchback, it's now time to say, I need to invest in the product. Now I have a roadmap. I need to, build a more robust product. And so you act differently and you do that for a while. Then you reach a switchback where, all right, the product is pretty good. Now I need to expand the market. I have this handful of people who are paying me money, but it needs to be more sustainable. Can I get new customers? Can I get different customers? Do I get rid of old customers? And the one that I've seen the biggest upheaval in is the next switchback is I've got a great idea. I've got a product that is pretty robust and I can do good things with it and it's not falling apart. I've got a market that wants this, but now I have to scale my business to meet it. That switchback right there, I've observed personally in companies I've been with or I've been consulting with, is where it's one of the biggest times that the founders will leave. Because a lot of entrepreneurs like starting things but hate running things. And you would probably not be a good leader in that. And so I've been at plenty of places where that's the point in time where some people from the C-suite exit out, go to a board, go to their next thing, and that's perfectly okay. It's probably a good thing. And you have to grow in a way that is different than scaling the thing you already had. It's now scaling the stuff underneath it. So a lot of my content for the next presentation cycle and things I want to speak on is going to be around that.
Very cool. Going back to those different methodologies and frameworks that you were talking about, when you're coaching somebody or a company's just getting started, is it more important like which one you pick, or is it just pick one and like commit?
Well, I think it's kind of like Agile. Like, are you Scrum or you Kanban or you this? I don't care. And now, I'm at a point where I just don't care. The principles are more important. And I do think if you're mature enough, you can pick and choose. Again, if you're at that kind of entry level and you need to kind of I need something prescribed to kind of get me started, okay. But with these models as well, I think that's why I want to overlap them and show you, listen, these don't happen in a vacuum. They kind of go together and have common patterns between them. And you should if you understand them and you understand what's behind them, you can be a little bit more fluid in saying, I'm going to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and put them together. And also know that whatever worked for you in one phase won't necessarily work for you in the next phase. When I used to teach Scrum, when I used to be a big Scrum proponent, I would even say at the end of my training, I would say, listen, if you're still doing everything I just told you 6 months from now, I failed you. Because the principles behind this are important. And the practices are important too, but they should be fluid. They should evolve. When you learn something new, hey, I do this thing and it's not working anymore because I've kind of grown past it. Okay, don't do it anymore. Well, wait a minute. The Scrum Guide says I should do this thing over, okay, it hurts when I do this. Well, don't do that. So I think the models are important because they can show you, commonality. They can show you experience. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you shouldn't be tied to any one. It should just be a way of educating you and giving you more tools in your toolbox to be ready for your next phase of your company.
Now let's shift gears way to the item behind you there. You guys have had a really cool thing as part of Acklen over the years where you also have a band, which from my experience just makes a team bond and just the collaboration element of any company that much better when like you can play music together. So guitar is your number one, but tell us about the band you guys have and who makes appearances on different instruments, if you don't mind.
It definitely has been, something was just something we did, at the beginning, and I wasn't even the one who originated. Scott Walters and a couple other people, and Colin was just jamming in their friends. They're all IT guys, but this city attracts a lot of musicians who then don't make it for various reasons, and you find that musicians and engineers have a lot in common. There's a lot of the way your works, and so there's a lot of IT people here who are fantastic musicians. And so we just started getting together and jamming. And I joined them, and then a kind of core group. It was always a different cast of characters, but a core group kept showing up. And we started having songs that we kind of normally did. And then we started getting asked things like, will you play my birthday? Okay, yes. Yeah, we'll just go play our birthday. We'll do that. And then we got asked to do bar camp. It was kind of our first big one. And we did bar camp, and that was a lot of fun. And our thing is, we get up and play a set, and then we just say, who wants to get up and play? Because it's Nashville. I can trust that the people getting up know how to play. And I can say 1, 4, 5 and E with a quick 4, and they know what that means. And so we started doing that, and it was always a big success and so much fun because it's audience participation. And then we had Nerds of Rock. That was Holland Square built Nerds of Rock, which was all about that. And then Music City Tech came, and we started doing that. And and we've done it for women in IT. We've done it for NTC. So we kind of became the that's where the Geek Jam was born, and that's what we're called, the Geek Jam, because we're all geeks. Colin, our CEO, is the drummer. I play guitar. There's several other people in the band. Jeff on bass. Scott Walters on guitar. Everybody sings. A lot of people are multi instrumentalists. But then there's so many people over the years that just have been kind of these members that show up and play all the time. We just did Agile 2022, and we were a big sponsor, and we sponsored the kickoff night. Okay. And everybody said the kickoff night is usually just you go in and get your free booze and you get out because it's boring. Well, we played, and we had people get up with us, and it was amazing. Just cool. People who got up there. One girl got up and she sang Zombie, and she killed it. And she came up afterwards with tears in her eyes and says, that is the most fun I've had in my entire life. Aww. Just, because being a rock star and doing that. And we lean into it. Like our booth was a merch booth. We had these shirts that were special edition shirts that were all Agile and rock themed. So we had Scrum Together from the Beatles, yes. Comfortably Scrum from Pink Floyd. And they were so popular, somebody actually stole a box of them. And we ran out immediately because people wanted these shirts so bad. So wow. The music thing, and we said, all right, is this a music Nashville thing or is this an Acklen thing? And now we have a marketing department, and marketing said, this is an Acklen thing. This is part of our spirit. It is part of, what we are. So that's, now, and this guitar you hear behind me, that was my bonus a couple of years back.
Yes.
It's kind of once a year I get a guitar. I've got another one over there you can't see, and I don't know what I'm going to get this year. I have to pick out what I'm going to get. But music is a big part of Nashville. We are born and bred in Nashville. I'm a native. And so it's a big part of us. And I think it kind of embraces that spirit of Agile as well, of just, getting together, forming people together. Are we the best musicians in the world? No. Do we try really hard to be better musicians? Also no. But do we have a lot of fun doing it? And when you put us together, where the sum is better than the parts? Absolutely. And I think that's goes a lot with team building as well.
Very cool. I love it. I'll have to find a YouTube link or two I can attach here.
Every now and then the one of you drumming with us pops up.
Oh, really? Is that still out there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got to see that
again. That's still out there somewhere.
Good times.
I don't think it's mine, but it will pop up because I think we were tagged in it.
I love it. Yeah. Makes me miss Nashville.
It is a fun town.
It is. Well, this has been so fun. I have one final question for you, Tommy, which is, what is the guiding principle that you live by to be successful in business?
So you kind of prepped me with this, and I kind of thought, I've got to have some, wise thing to say. And then there was something I've been saying for a while, and I think I might have mentioned it earlier in here, but I said it the other day, and somebody really liked it. And I was like, I guess that is kind of it, is when I think about what my job is, when, at the company I've been, it's been so many different places, is my job really is to provide enough of a process and a system to allow people to do their best work and put them in an environment that allows doing the right thing easy to do. That's it. If I do that, I'm a process guy. I've never been the soft and cuddly, that side, but those both have to go together. And I've learned, I was a big process guy, and then I had learned to back off of that. Of hey, you don't have to have a process for everything. You bring in the right people, you train them well, you get them aligned with your values, and then you put them in as small of a box as possible. I don't mean small, but like the thin as a box as possible, where there's a lot of room for them to grow and experiment and do things, and let them go and trust them. And I think that right there is Acklen at its core. Is why we have really great teams that are very successful, and a lot of people that are very happy where they are.
Amazing. I love it. Well, keep up the good work, Tommy, and I'll see you here in Nashville again soon.
Hopefully so. We'll get some jamming in.
Sounds good. I'm all for it.